season. Monaco street track, the entire event needs erecting and removing every year. This process takes roughly 6 weeks to complete and a further 3 weeks to remove. This is one of the reasons why until 2017 Monaco never had a podium. Instead, celebrating the following track here, the tunnel can
turn that. All right, we've probably been talking to no one. If you can hear us now, or at least if you can hear me, please let us know in the chat.
Can you hear one or two voices? We're good.
Yep. Excellent. So, yeah, without repeating the whole intro, we are at Monaco. It's tier 3, and we're just starting the qualifying session, and it's a short qualifying session, 18 minutes, and then we're going to have a 50% race, which is 39 laps. And Bobo set the fastest time.
You were saying it's the shortest lap on the calendar. The circuit length is 2.075 miles to be exact.
Yeah, so it's tiny, absolutely tiny by modern Formula One standards. And tiny in width as well, really. For the modern Formula One cars, overtaking, of course, is notoriously difficult around here. It always has been. It's maybe a little bit easier in the game than it is in real life, but that's not really saying much. It's still very difficult. Best chance is probably turn 1, because you do have a DRS straight on the pit straight at Monaco. But yep, apart from that, you're really relying on a bit of a mistake from the driver ahead of you to be able to make a move.
Trying to find someone on a lap.
We've got quite a few drivers still in the pits at the moment. We should mention as well that we have got a few reserves in tonight. Notably, I can see Bergen from Tier 1, Mark from Tier 2, Chris Bailey from Tier 1, Armour Red from Tier 2, Laupi from Tier 1, Airways as well.
Yeah, you got Gevi and Smith from Tier 2 as well in the 2 Red Bulls.
Okay. So they won't be able to qualify on the soft tyres if they do set at that time.
Tier 2 drivers will be hard tyres, but Tier 1 drivers will not be able to qualify at all, and per the rules. And there'll be somebody else not being able to qualify tonight as well, which is Voltage, who should have technically served a quali ban last week in Imola, but set a lap time, and so his quali ban has been moved to tonight. And of all the tracks to have a quali ban, this is the one you definitely don't want.
Yes, definitely. I think this is a race where strategy is going to be critical. Certainly when I raced here on Monday night, it was really a question of trying to get an undercut on drivers around you to establish track position. Track position, of course, is absolutely king here, and even if you are on really worn tyres.
Steve's just dropped it at the swimming pool section.
Oh yeah, there
Luckily,
he is.
he's only lost his wing from it and not anything more.
Yeah, so he'll be able to get back and have his car fixed. But that's another aspect of tonight that will be interesting. It will be the possibility of safety cars with such a tight track and the barriers always being so close. Car damage is quite likely. And yep, definitely a threat of safety cars around here, which will feed into the strategy aspect of things as well.
I've just got the tyres up, and I think Gevi has got the wrong idea, because he set his lap time on medium tyres.
Yeah, and it should have been hards.
Yes.
So do we know what the potential penalty for that might be?
I think the only people that would probably know that will be the admins themselves.
Yep.
The only thing I'll probably think they'll probably do is it's either going to be reset a lobby after qualifying, and put him towards the back, or I don't know. That'll be the only logical thing, but it depends what the admins want to do about it.
Well, I guess the other thing he could try to do is to set a quicker time on the hard tyres from here, which would be quite difficult, but better than getting penalised.
Yeah. Also save resetting the lobby as well.
Exactly. Which we had to do last week, and it's not a habit we want to be getting into. We've got both Ferraris out on track in the middle sector at the moment. Simba a few seconds ahead of Connor, and they're both on flying laps, currently in 5th and 7th places, and looking to improve.
Yeah, just like Mandy's just said in the YouTube chat, we have a former racer back in the league making his return to racing in MRC, and that's Night Shadow, or as most of us know him by his name, Gav, back racing again with us.
Yeah, good to see.
Just been pipped by Connor, who's gone P4.
Yep. In the 12.5s, no surprises to see that Bobo, the championship leader, is on pole at the moment by 1.5 seconds as well. So once again, his pace, excuse me, his pace looks pretty dominant. I would imagine that it won't be too long before he'll be making a move up to Tier 2 based on his pace, although he will have to turn off some more assists in order to make the step up to Tier 2. Whether he's prepared to do that or not, I'm not sure, but he's definitely the dominant driver in this tier for the time being.
Yeah, he's won majority of the races that I can know of in Tier 3, because he won last time out in Imola. To extend that championship lead, he's got a 62-point lead over Flattery, who is not racing, because they would have been in a Red Bull, and both Red Bulls have got higher tier reserves in, and he's just done a 109.7 to extend his gap on pole position even further.
Yeah, so really now for everyone else it's a battle for starting second on the grid. No one really able to get anywhere near Bobo at the moment.
Yeah, Bobo's nearest challenger in the championship that's actually racing is Stube, and Stube is 66 points off of Bobo's 127 in the championship, so that's his closest challenger tonight, because second and third are not racing tonight.
Night Shadow putting himself back up into fourth place with a low 1 minute 12, so an improvement from him. Quite a bit of action out on track at the moment. Triz in Mercedes doesn't look like he's on a flying lap. Well, he might be actually. He's not set a time yet.
I was watching the lap prior, and he invalidated it at Sandoval. I think he cut too much of turn 1 on the way through. So at least he's got a time on the board now, which is 15.1. So at least he's got a time on the board. Better than not having one.
Yep, and he's 4 tenths or just under 4 tenths ahead of his teammate Hive, who went a lot quicker in Sector 1 than his previous best, but has just hit the wall, so he won't be improving. Simba down at the Lowe's hairpin at the moment, currently in P8 and into the famous tunnel at Monaco.
Heading down towards the Novel chicane.
Looks quite good through that. He made a mistake earlier on the exit to back, which gave him some wing damage, but no problems this time around.
Half a second up at the moment.
Ooh, very
I
wide.
think there was a slight clip on the wall through Le Rascasse.
Yeah, no damage though. And over the line he goes to P7.
6/10 improvement.
Triz with a 9/10 improvement just behind him, so he's into the top 10. David on a lap in the Haas, looking to improve on a 15.0. And he's 3 tenths up after the second sector marker. Into Rascasse and very wide.
Just keeps it out the wall.
It's tidy enough after that. Yeah.
Yeah, 14.2 for David.
Yeah, I think without that moment in Rasgas, that would have been into
Yeah,
the
he did
13s.
well to keep it out the wall. To be fair, because it looked like it was always he just hit the wall on the way down to Mirabeau. Luckily, he's got his quicker time in. He's lost an end plate though, but
Just watching Mark, who is in the Williams tonight. He's setting a lap time on the hard tyres as a reserve, coming up to the line,
yeah,
and he goes P7.
12.5 on the hard tyres. I
Not
couldn't
too
even do
bad.
that on the hard tyres. I was probably a 15 or a 14 on the hard tyres. I have no confidence round here whatsoever. My aim was just to finish.
Yeah, same for me. I've actually had a problem recently with my wheel. The power pack for my Fanatec wheel has failed, and I've ordered a new one. But for the time being, while I wait for that, I am racing on a controller. And Monaco is not a track you want to be using a controller for.
No, and I can definitely say that is. Oh, Connor coming through in the swimming pool section, really getting up against the barriers on the way through.
Yeah, that looked really aggressive.
Back end steps out, not once but twice, not three times, and then loses his end plate.
That cost him all of the time.
Yeah. Had a bit of a slap happy moment out of Anthony Nors.
So we're into the final minute of the qualifying session. Oh yeah, Simba.
I think at the Grand Hotel Hairpin, which is on the
exit,
left hand side. Yeah.
How has he got enough speed to lose a wheel around there? Because you're not going quicker than 30.
Is definitely. I mean, there's quite a few corners on this track where it's so easy to light the rears up and lose the back end because of all the slow speed corners. You just get on that power slightly too early and the rears just light up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. We've got Stube coming over the line, and he is into P4 with that one at 1 minute 11.8, and he crossed the line just after the checkered flag fell, so that will be his quickest time. Let's see who else. Mark on the hards again, a couple of tenths quicker as he comes up to the line and improves to P6.
I would just jump to Triz, who was on his last flying run, and he's just ended up in the wall at Mirabeau as Bobo does a 9.3.
Yeah, that was Rosberg's corner there for Triz, although he hit the wall rather than taking to the escape road as Rosberg did back in 2014. But Bobo, 2.3 seconds around one of the shortest tracks in Formula One. That's the gap he has to the rest of the field. That's outrageous.
I don't think we've had a gap that big in a qualifying session in any of the tiers currently this season, so to have a gap that big on a track so short is significant.
Yeah, it's remarkable. So we'll just run through that grid order. Bobo, Gabby in second, Womax in third, Stube in fourth, Night Shadow fifth, Mark in sixth, Connor seventh, Simba eighth, Wookie in ninth, Hive Eclipse in 10th, David in 11th, Triz 12th, and Mutz Nuts, the last man to set a time, in 13th. From there on, it's Bergen, Voltage, Chris Bailey, Smith F1, Armour Red, Laupi, and Airways for the rest of the grid for the Tier 3 Monaco Grand Prix. So, despite the fact that he's got a quali ban, Voltage will not be starting right at the back. He's actually got a few places higher.
Yeah, that benefited definitely from those higher tier drivers that either decided to not set a lap time, but now we have the 5 minute break for the drivers to go for a toilet break, drink, sort their strategy out.
Yeah, so we should be starting at, I'd say, 27 minutes past, if that's 5 minutes from now. And looks like the weather is not going to be influencing the race. There doesn't seem to be any rain in the air, although this view actually of the pit lane, we can't actually see the sky because of the way that
No,
Monaco goes
it's
up the hill.
all yeah, it's all built up with the all the apartments and buildings.
Yeah, the cheapest
Although
apartment
we
here,
did
probably
get
1 million euros.
yeah, we did have a bit of rain at the start of the racing week, which is X on a Friday. We had a dry to wet situation for that one, which made for some interesting racing towards the end of it. It was definitely a challenge, Monaco in the wet, trying to keep it out of the barriers.
It's enough of a challenge in the dry, to be honest.
Yeah, it's such a short lap, but it feels relatively long because you're having to concentrate at every aspect of the track. Because any lapse in concentration, you're just going to end up in one of many barriers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real assault on the senses, this track. You have no time to think really at all. And compared to another short track that I can think of, Austria, which is similarly not very long, but that's the average speed there is much higher. Lap times there will generally be about 1 minute 5, 1 minute 6. And around here, you're looking at probably 10 seconds a lap slower than that, with 39 racing laps. So a race around here does actually take quite a long time. So by the end, you are going to be pretty exhausted with all of that mental effort. And if you throw in a possibility for a safety car or two, you can be looking at almost an hour of racing.
Yeah, and just I mentioned how long the circuit length is for the race distance that we'll be doing around here, the 50%. Each one of the drivers here will be doing a total of 80.867 miles, which is the race distance for a 50% race around here. If it was 100%, it would be 161.734 miles.
Yeah, which I think is pretty short as well for a Grand Prix in the modern age. But Monaco is a track that they do make allowances for. I think if you were proposing a new track to the Formula One calendar in 2025 and it had the distance or the width of Monaco, they would never allow it. But Monaco, with its history and its
Yeah,
status, is a special
mm,
case.
yeah. You mentioned history; it's just absolutely steeped in it because obviously, just like Silverstone, it's been and the likes of Silverstone, Monaco with Monza as well, have been part of the official F1 calendar since the championship's birth in 1950, and the many racing that they did at Monaco even before the Formula One officially started their championship. So Monaco steeped in racing heritage.
Yeah, I think maybe the only year that it hasn't hosted a Formula One race would be the COVID pandemic year of 2020. So I don't think it had a race in that shortened
Um,
calendar that we had.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure myself. I know the I know they raced the year later in 2021 because that's when the race lap record was set by Lewis Hamilton of a 12.9.
And that's despite the fact that Verstappen actually won the race that year.
Mm.
And that was the year, was that the year when Charles Leclerc was on pole, but he crashed his car at the last second of quali and then he couldn't race?
I'm not 100% sure, but it probably could have been. I mean, we all know Leclerc and his Monaco curses he had, but he finally broke that curse this year, winning his home race for the first time.
Yeah.
But when you think of drivers with Monaco, there's only one name that comes to everyone's mind, and that's Ayrton Senna, 6 times a race winner here.
Yep, in 7 years, I believe, as well. So, anyway, here we go. Formation lap time for the Monaco Grand Prix. And all of the tyre compounds being used at the start. Bobo and Gabby on the front row on the mediums. Womack Stube on the hards.
Oh, something's happened. Yeah, Bergen and Voltage probably coming together on the formation lap, so they're going to be sat there with cold tyres on the grid, waiting for the grid to come round. And Bobo's not hanging about on this formation lap.
No, he's left Gabby a long way behind, probably trying to just generate the heat in the tyres for the start of the race.
Yeah, you said all tyre compounds in use. You got majority of them going for the mediums. You got the select few on hards, and then you got Voltage and Chris, the only two starting with the softs. So I'm guessing Voltage is probably expecting an early safety car. We're choosing softs at the start.
Yeah, you'd have thought so, or just to try and see if any overtaking is possible in those first few laps.
Yeah, we had a very famous line in the F1 games from a race engineer, no heroics into Zandvoort, which also was something we could have on the Halos back in the old F1 games. So everyone's going to be thinking about no heroics into turn 1.
Well, we hope so anyway, for their own sake, that they have got that message ringing in their ears, as we are now ready for the start of the Monaco Grand Prix with 5 red lights, and we are underway. We'll just jump on board with Gabby quickly, and the front two look to have got a good getaway, but there's no chance of either of them doing any overtaking into turn 1.
Just watching further back, there's about 4 cars trying to squeeze through us. We've got carbon fibre flying everywhere. Mark's already gone, and we've got a safety car already.
Yeah, Simba as well was
Bergen
turned
with
round.
10 seconds with a severe collision with David as well. It was all bunched up towards the tail end of the field. You had about 3 or 4 cars trying to thread the needle through Zandvoort, which then leads to a domino effect up the hill at Beau Rivage, and it's all going to end in tears. Which, for Mark, it ended up ending in tears because he's already out after only a handful of yards.
Yeah, similar to what we saw in the real race with the 2 Hasses and Sergio Perez coming together up the hill on the first lap. That caused a red flag, whereas in this case it's only a safety car. I don't know.
I think for our sakes, the league has red flags turned off as Gabby's already pitting on for lap 1, which may not be a bad idea. but probably a bad idea at the same time, because you are giving up track position, and as we know, track position at Monaco is vital.
Yeah, the problem is that you're assuming that there's not going to be another safety car which might allow other people to pit and get ahead of you, but you're also risking being held up by slower drivers towards the back of the pack, although maybe not in this case, because the back of the pack is all full of reserves from higher tiers, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Simba seems to have had a nightmare of a start, because he's finds himself down in 18th.
Yeah, we saw him in the wall as well.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the positions from drivers' starting positions. Obviously, Gabby and Simba, the two biggest losers, with Gabby dropping 15 places because he decided to pit at the end of lap 1, and obviously Simba getting involved in some pendulum effects which brought the safety car out, is 10 places down from his starting position. The biggest gainer so happens to be Voltage, who's jumped 7 places from his starting place, managing to avoid as much of the carnage as he could.
Yeah, I did wonder if he was going to pit at the end of lap 1 as well, to maybe try and put a set of hards on to the end of the race, which I do think is possible around here, but he has stayed out. Those soft tyres will last a bit longer, with the fact that they haven't really done any racing as of yet. They'll still have the best of their grip, as we're on lap 3 now.
Yeah, easiest to warm up as well, the soft tyres.
Yeah, that is true. Whereas in front of him, I think, well, certainly Womax is on the hard, Stube as well, and then 3 medium tyre runners immediately ahead of Voltage, so they are all going to be struggling a bit more with tyre warm-up.
Yeah, safety car would be probably looking at coming in this lap, because everyone is on the back of the safety car train, so should be going green flag racing at the start of lap 4.
So we've got 19 people at the moment watching us on YouTube. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Hi to you, Joni, and Mortal in the chat as well. Good to see you guys. Heinrich Schmidt as well, who's actually in the race tonight, currently at the back, but hopefully his fortunes change as the race goes on. We have got the safety car coming in at the end of this lap, so we will be seeing Bobo now taking control of the pace at the front and deciding when is the right time to get us going again. He takes a wide angle into Raskas as he is putting the throttle to the floor and getting us back underway on lap 4 in the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, and you got the rest of the pack having to react to the respective drivers in front, so you've got gaps forming off the
Voltage having a look on the inside of Triz into Casino Square. Sorry to cut across you there. Oh, and then there's contact Triz into the wall, and Voltage making moves and causing chaos.
Yeah, you can just about get 2 cars through there, but it's super tight with how narrow it is, as Smith's now retired, and we've got another safety car. Smith has crashed at Mirabeau.
So we got half a lap of racing in that time.
Now the question is, what will some of the drivers do? Will they take the advantage of this safety car, or will they stay out? One thing we do have to remember is I think there's only so many always Smith's just put ups in the YouTube chat.
Yeah. Yeah, oops indeed. But yeah, you're right. This is, I mean, it's still very early on, of course, but it might just be enough into the race for some drivers to consider coming in. Certainly not at the front.
Chris Bailey's decided to take the chance.
Yeah, and David in the Haas as well. Voltage still there on the softs. P7, and yeah, those soft tyres will still be in pretty good nick despite us being on lap 5. They don't usually last a very long time, but we haven't really done even a lap of full-blooded racing so far.
We got as far as Beau Rivage to Casino on lap 1, and then after the restart of lap 4, we got as far as Mirabeau to Portier.
Yeah, and we did say that, you know, this is a very challenging track to survive on, and it's hard enough not getting damaged, never mind, you know, crashing out of the race. So this could be a bit of a pattern as the race carries on. It's worth saying as well that I think in this game there is a limit to the number of safety cars you can get. I think it's 5.
Yeah, it's about 5 or 6, and we've had 2 up to now, so that's one thing the drivers have got to put into perspective, because if you don't pit and it ends up being the last safety car that the game allows, you're then practically stuck and will have to pit under green flag. And if we end up having, let's say, 3 more in the next span of, I don't know how many laps it could be, then there's going to be a massive chunk of the race where it's just going to be all green flag.
Yeah, and it's you wonder how many of the drivers know about that and know, because when you're concentrating on the race and you get to your 4th or 5th safety car, maybe the drivers will start to lose count as well. So you've got to be really on the ball with understanding that and making your pit stop at the right time, knowing that it is going to be green flag racing to the end. But we're not at that stage yet. We'll have to see if the drivers can maybe keep it clean after this latest safety car, which has been out for a couple of laps now. I would hope that it will be coming in at the end of this lap, so we can get going again.
It should be green going on to lap 7.
Yeah, we should get an indication of that at the second. There we go.
It is.
Right. So once again, Bobo takes over control of this pack of Formula 1 cars. And we'll see if he does the same as he did last time with the wide line into Rasgas. Airways and Gabby have swapped positions, which is unusual.
Well, Gabby pitted, I think, under the first safety car on lap 1, as Bobo's decided to go out the final corner.
Yeah, and he's got the pack behind him a lot closer than they were the first time around. And now let's have a look at Voltage, who is going past Connor. Connor must have gone wide into, or on the exit of turn 1. So into P6 now for the RB, and looking aggressive on Wookie already.
Really using those soft tyres to his advantage at this point. I mean, they'll still be relatively fresh because we've done more laps beyond the safety car. As Wookie getting really out of shape, almost taking Voltage with him, and again
into the wall.
He avoids it but ends up in the wall, so that's another position for Voltage up to P5.
Yeah. Oh, and Wookie's banged into his teammate Bergen and crashed himself out of the race. That's a virtual safety car, because I think he's in a not quite such a dangerous place as he could have been.
Yeah, he's at the Novo chicane.
Yeah, in that runoff
Luckily for
zone.
people, it is a virtual and not a full safety car, but as Voltage is deciding to pit under the virtual, which is a smart idea because he will lose less time than under green flag.
Yeah. Is this going to be for the hards? It is. So we are back to green, so he will lose a bit more time than if it had stayed under Delta until he came out of the pits. But overall, I agree with you. I think that was a smart decision from Voltage. He can take those hard tyres to the end of this race now, as long as he doesn't get any damage, of course. Chris pitting as well.
Yeah, it's all very congested at the Grand Hotel hairpin in the midfield. Chris Bailey with 3 seconds for track limits, so pushing as hard as he can on those medium tyres.
Yeah, and penalties will come into play more and more as this race goes on. There are several points on this track, despite all of the barriers, where you can quite easily get a corner cutting penalty. Turn 1 is one of those, and then the 2 chicanes, the Nouvelle chicane and the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Connor has pitted.
As Bobo's already got a 2.3 second lead on Wumax. Yes, Wumax is on the hard tyres and Bobo's taking full advantage of that. And at this moment in time, Wumax is actually holding Gav up, who's on the medium tyres himself, all over the rear wing of the Alpine, almost pushing Wumax on the exit of the hairpin.
Yeah, and that cost him a little bit of time, as we've got Voltage going past David, or rather David made a mistake at Mirabeau, and I think he might have reset to track as well, which I don't think is allowed.
Technically not allowed. That would be a disqualification if I'm correct.
Yeah, we'll have to see if anything comes of that, but it allowed Voltage to move up a place. Bobo once again searing pace, and you can see on the track map the gap that he's managed to pull already. Voltage so quickly on the back of Simba.
Yeah, I've just jumped to that. He's right under the rear wing of the Ferrari. He's looking to go on the outside in towards Sandoval. Makes the move just before the braking zone. Was able to make the corner as well. So that's Voltage up to 13th.
Yeah, that was nice and clean in the end. Good stuff from Voltage and Simba, as Chris Bailey sets the fastest lap on his new mediums.
Voltage already dropped Simba by a second, and he's almost on the back of Bergen already.
Yeah, and joining the back of a train that goes all the way up to Triz in P6.
Yeah, this is where Voltage's patience is going to be tested, because there's that many cars in this train. He doesn't really want to risk a audacious move, and his base bet would be to possibly play safe, because there's
and as we speak,
Gabby losing it. Yeah,
Gabby sliding on the exit of the swimming pool chicane, and that was right into the path of Voltage, who I think has managed to get away from that without damage. Fortunately.
Yeah, the Red Bull had ghosted before Voltage came to the scene, but that was super close with how many cars there were in that train. That could have been big if that Red Bull hadn't ghosted.
Yeah. Oh, and Voltage.
Oh, he's just clipped the back of the Aston Martin.
And Connor's retired. That's another safety car. That's down at the Nouvelle chicane.
That's on the exit. Connor has crashed in a Ferrari at the Novo chicane, and I think somebody else did that as well back in 1955. I think it was a Ferrari was driving, because Alberto Ascari ended up crashing at the Novo chicane. Sadly for him, a car was retiring in front of him, which distracted him, and he ended up flying into the harbour. Luckily, it was only a cut nose and severe shaking he suffered.
Yeah.
But luckily, nowadays, with the barriers that we have, nothing like that can happen these days.
No, certainly not to Connor as well, who...
Yeah, I'm trying to think which barrier it would have been. I think it was the second barrier, as it sticks out on the exit of the no-bell chicane. He probably clipped, because it's such a tight line through there. I mean, you think, yes, you've avoided the first barrier and you're on the way out of the chicane, but you clip the second one and you think, oh, I avoided the first, but I didn't avoid the second.
Yeah, back in the 50s as well, as which you were talking about with Ascari, the chicane there, of course, was basically just a high speed little left right, with the wall literally right in front of you.
Yeah, because they were going far quicker through this part of the track back then than they do now, and the early layout of the track before what we have today is where the Raskas and Anthony's nose was simply just a simple hairpin onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah, and I don't think there was a swimming pool chicane either. I think possibly the swimming pool hadn't been built back then.
It was a straight run down to what would have been the hairpin final corner.
Yeah. So yeah, safety car number 3 with the virtual safety car that we had before. That's 4 now.
Yep.
And Bobo, Bobo has pitted under the latest safety car. Night Shadow as well. They're out in 4th and 6th with Voltage in P9. So Voltage is not too far away from those guys at this stage. But he's got Laupi and Armour Red in front of him, who, well, they've both stayed on the tyres that they started the race with. Armour Red will still be able to go for a while if he chooses on the hards. Laupi, not quite so long, but those mediums might still be good for a few laps. So Voltage, when we get going again, is going to have to make something happen, I think, if he wants to stay in close contact with Bobo and Night Shadow ahead.
Yeah, and on this restart, Bobo with the fresh hards compared to the cars ahead of him, who are on the tyres that they started on. Wumax, Stube on the hards, Hive on the mediums. He's going to be looking to take advantage of the fresh tyres, but also he won't want to take much risk with those 3 still yet to have to make a pit stop, and with Stu being his closest rival in the championship, he's practically got a pit stop over Stu already with this safety car.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to take any risks at this point trying to overtake the cars in front of him. He should easily have the pace advantage over them to make a move anyway, I would have thought, but no need to do anything too risky, which is a different story to the one we're seeing so far with Voltage, who has looked very lively so far in this race and was lucky actually not to get any front wing damage from the contact that he had before with Airways coming into Mirabeau.
Yeah, got super close between those cars, and like you say, luckily seemed to got away with it. And he was also lucky with the spinning Red Bull of Gabby earlier on. Luckily, the Red Bull had ghosted, so didn't cause a bigger accident than it initially started as, saving quite a handful of drivers who was in that train at the time.
Yeah, safety car coming in. And it's Womax now who is in charge of the restart.
Yeah, really backing them up on the way into the swimming pool.
Womax, of course, is one of the reserves as he looks to have made his break.
Gone before the final corner. Got a bit of a gap to Stube on the restart.
So now we will be paying attention on the likes of Bobo, who's got through, has he, on Night Shadow, or was he defending from Night Shadow?
I think Night Shadow made a move on Mutt's Nuts on the way up Beau Rivage into Massenet.
Yeah, and as Voltage has got Laupe's made a mistake and gone down the Rosberg runoff. So Voltage up into 8th position with that. And looking at Armour Red next in the Aston Martin, who's right behind the RB of Mutt's Nuts. And we're seeing Bobo so far being patient behind Hive in the Mercedes.
And one thing that you definitely need at Monaco is patience and hands full of it.
Yeah. Especially if you are trying to come through the pack, as Voltage is currently right up behind Armour Red. DRS has been enabled, so the drivers will be able to open their rear wing on the pit straight if they are within 1 second of the car in front. Bobo very close behind Hive once again, but not able to do anything about it down into Casino Square.
He's got better traction than the Mercedes in front, but there's not a lot he can do with it because of how narrow the track is. And now Night Shadow's caught the back of Bobo, so he's now going to be not just looking in front, but he's going to be looking behind, as I think the Mercedes got a bit out of shape, which has caught Bobo out. And now Gav's having a look side by side down towards the Nouvelle chicane. No contact at all. You got everyone else bunching up now. The handful of cars now on this train behind Hive.
Chris Bailey moving himself up into 9th place ahead of Airways, so he's joining in this fight. Voltage just having to be patient through Rasgas and trying to get a good exit onto the straight, but he's just in a DRS train now, so it's going to be very difficult to make a move there. He's always closing up so much to the cars in front in the braking zones. He's clearly got a lot of confidence there, but he just needs to be careful.
I think Voltage and Armour came together. Armour Red came together on the way through Massenet. But now Voltage is literally pushing his way past his teammate, and both RBs have had contact, and that's ended up Mutt's Nuts going round.
Yeah, so Voltage bulldozing his way through at the moment, it seems like, just pushing other cars out of the way. And now he is on the back of the Hive, Bobo and Night Shadow battle.
I think he's just clipped the back of the Sauber as well, I think, but no damage. He's really getting very racy behind the Sauber.
Simba into the pits And we've also got Chris Bailey going past Armour Red for P7.
As I think Bobo's had a look on Hive at Beau Rivage and Massenate. Bit of contact into Casino.
And now he's got Voltage right behind him as well.
Yeah, Voltage's looking racy.
And round the outside of Bobo before the hairpin. Wow, what a move.
Nuts has
and then Voltage.
In the pits.
Voltage, another just driving through Hive and pushing Hive off the track. I think Voltage is going to be in the steward's room for quite a while at the end of this race. As Chris Bailey trying to go round the outside of Bobo into the Nouvelle chicane. That would have been outrageous if he pulled that off, but
yeah,
unfortunately not.
I think he cut a bit of the chicane in the process, trying to make sure that he didn't collide with the Williams. But Voltage is just bolted from Bobo at this point.
Yeah, and he's in hot pursuit now of Womack and Stube at the front, who are still quite close together. There's less than a second separating the front two. Hive has retired in the pits.
Yeah, that's 2 retirements we just had in the pits.
I would think that Hive is not very happy about the way that he was
no, I think Nuts would have been the same predicament, because it was, I think it was roughly the same point. Well, I don't know if it was the same point of track with the 2 incidents, but we can pretty much guarantee they'll be in the steward's room after this one.
Yeah, it was at the same point after the hairpin.
Yeah, it was rather robust from Voltage, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
As we have a Mercedes round at La Rascasse. I think that's Triz, who's now found himself a lap down, who's also retired in the pits now himself. So we're down to 13 out of 20 drivers now.
And Voltage has got himself up to the front of, well, he's got himself into DRS range of the front 2, and Stube went a bit wide.
He's opened up a gap, but not really a chance to overtake, really. The gap opened up, but you don't really want to be trying it at the hairpin. As he's look, that was super tight to the barrier.
Yeah, that's just, there was never going to be a move on there for him.
No, as soon as the gap opens, the gap shuts. Just as soon as it opens, it can just close again, which has allowed Bobo and Chris to catch up to this. As I think Stube had a bit of a moment and ghosted, which allowed Voltage to practically drive through him, as Voltage cut the Sandoval and getting 3 seconds for it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the moment that Stube had. It wasn't really that big of a moment, but he did ghost as a result, and it's now holding up Bobo, and Chris might have a look down the inside into the hairpin.
Voltage is practically pushing Womack through the hairpin. Really robust driving from Voltage.
Is Womack going to just let him through, or is he going to defend? It looks like he is going to defend down to the Nouvelle chicane. Voltage again just trying to go right around the outside, but there's no chance of doing that there. They're still side by side coming into back, and he just had to back out there eventually, but he still might be able to do something, not into Rascasse, but maybe with DRS into turn 1.
Womack and Stube respectively on those hard tyres, and also Armour Red still going. They've done which will be 21 laps respectively on those tyres now.
Yeah, they've got to be nearing the end of their life, but Voltage has done 14 laps, so he isn't at so much of an advantage in that respect, as once again...
really getting... He's almost pushing Womack through every corner at this point.
Yeah, and Bobo and Chris Bailey going side by side. Chris Bailey has managed to get through into P4. Things not working out so well for Bobo at the moment. He's down in 5th at the moment, but he has got 2 cars in front of him that will have to pit, and Chris Bailey, who is a reserve, so he will be pitting later on as well.
There's also Womack's being a higher tier driver.
Yeah, good point.
I think that's what Womack is trying to do. He knows he's a higher tier driver.
As he lets through Voltage.
He doesn't want... I think he can see how racy Voltage is behind, and he's like, I want to make it to the end. I don't want anything to happen. So as Voltage locking up big time through Sandivort.
Chris got past Stube as well, and is now looking at Womack. Well, Womack is letting people through at this point. He's just allowed Chris through. Bobo is trying to get past Stube.
I think what Womack is trying to do is probably trying to take those hards as long as possible, because higher tier drivers will have to pit on the penultimate lap. So I think he's probably trying to take those tyres up until lap 37, 38 when he has to make that mandatory stop. It's the only thing I can think of, but he's going to be taking them such a long way.
Well, he's let Voltage and Chris Bailey through, so I hope that he does the same for Stube and Bobo, really.
Question is, with Stube being actual tier, when's he going to decide to pick? Because he's done 22 laps as well on those hard tyres.
And he's under pressure from Bobo. Oh, he's going to hold the inside though.
Oh, just enough room given by both, but Bobo with the better tractions managed to get the better exit out of Sandivort, and also the position.
Yeah, so Bobo into 4th now, and on the back of Womack. And the problem now for Bobo is that he is 6 or 7 seconds behind Voltage. Voltage does have a time penalty. I must stress as well, I do think he's going to be getting some extra penalties after this race, but Bobo for now will just be wanting to get within 3 seconds and win the race outright.
Yeah, because he has got slightly fresher tyres than Bobo, but like you say, he's 6 seconds behind Bobo as it stands at the moment, which is about 3 seconds if you add Voltage's current penalty on at the moment. But it's alright catching a car, but overtaking at Monaco is a different story. As I think, yeah, Womack has just let Bobo through.
Yeah.
And also, I think Bobo got caught out by it, and I think had a little moment at Sandivort. I think he weren't ready for Womack to wave him on by.
Yeah, he did ghost temporarily as the 2 Kick Sauber teammates are doing battle now behind Womack, with Bergen in close attendance
as well,
too.
Yeah. It's a bit of a tricky one when you got your teammate behind you, because you move over and let your teammate through, you're at risk of losing another place behind, so it's hard to do like a team orders kind of scenario through Monaco, as Bergen's really up the gearbox of
Gabby's gone at the exit the no-tail chicane, and we've got a virtual
And some of those have gone past the pits, and Bergen's took advantage of it. He slowed right down to make sure he got the pits under the virtual, but Voltage, Chris, Bobo, Womack, Stube and Gav had already gone through just as the virtual came out.
I would have thought that they might have stayed out anyway with track position.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Bergen
although
with
Stube,
being a high
right. Yeah,
Stube still having to pit. He would have wanted the virtual to come out a little bit earlier so he could dive in, but by the time the virtual came out, he was just literally gone past the pit entry, which would have annoyed him. As Lorpy's got a drive-through for speeding under virtual. I think he must have caught the end of the virtual at the wrong part of the track and got caught out.
Yeah, his Delta would have gone red at the wrong time. He is another reserve tonight, though, so it doesn't matter too much to proceedings here.
Bobo's at least 8 seconds, the gap between Voltage and Bobo now at the moment, without the penalty being intact. The Stube finally pits.
Yeah, lap 27. I would have thought this will be to the mediums. Or has he just gone straight through the garage? I wonder if he
yes, he has.
Did he get a drive-through?
Possibly. I didn't see anything against his name or anything, so bizarre one for Stube to drive through the pit lane, because I didn't see any penalties against his name when he went into the pits.
Well, if he didn't have some sort of penalty, he would have gone into the box, surely. Even if he didn't say he was going in, they would have he would have gone into the box. So yeah, a strange one for
bizarre
Stu.
one. So he's gonna have to come in again and change tyres. So bit of a odd moment.
It's released his teammate, Night Shadow.
Yeah, who's still on the back of Womax, who's still clocking away on those hard tyres.
Yeah, he's just waiting. Seems to be as long as possible as Stube is
Stube's
in again.
Finally, yeah, I'm just going to jump to see what happens this time. I can see his mechanics are out now, so yeah, he's finally in for his stop this time, and he's going for the soft tyres.
Yeah, and he just got out ahead of Lorpy doing his drive-through penalty.
Yeah, so probably Stube had a drive-through and we just didn't see it, but it was a bizarre one. Because I didn't see anything flash up to say he had a drive-through.
The only thing I can think is that if he got one at the same time as Lorpy did after the virtual safety car, maybe the notification just popped up at the same time.
Yeah, possibly the case.
Just have a quick look at the penalty situation. It's not been as bad as I thought it might have been, actually, but we've got Voltage at the front with 3 seconds, Chris Bailey a reserve with 6 seconds, Bergen I think just picked up his first time penalty tonight, so he's got 3 seconds, and David at the back has 12 seconds, but apart from that it's been relatively clean.
And it's gone relatively quiet as well, because there's only 12 runners at this moment in time, and the pack is rather spread out as well.
Yeah, the closest we've got is Womax and Night Shadow, and then we've got Simba and Lorpy battling over the final point at the moment, but Simba is on much older tyres than the Haas behind him.
Yeah, and as it stands, everyone is stopped apart from Womack. So, if my hunch is correct, we could see Womack's not pitting until lap 37 or 38 or even 39.
And he's letting Night Shadow through before turn 1. So Night Shadow up to 4th place now. And he does a little bit of a wiggle on the track just to say thank you.
Good thing to do, as long as you don't end up putting it in the wall by accident.
Yeah, looks like it all went smoothly on that occasion. But yeah, up at the front now, everyone's just in no man's land a little bit relative to each other. Voltage.
Yeah, as I think Lorpy's just got past Simba at Sandevot, so Lorpy up to P10, Simba down to P11.
Yeah, Simba not needing to get into a battle with Lorpy, who is a reserve on much better tyres at the moment, so no need to compromise his own race.
Womack finds himself with Armar in the Aston Martin all over the back of him now.
Yeah, and these are both reserves, so there's no need for Womack really to let Armor Red through.
Yeah. So these two will probably fight for this position, and no silly business neither. Both of them know what they're doing.
And
I'm just looking at the gap to leader, and Bobo's gap to Voltage is 9.3.
Yeah, so it doesn't look as though he's going to make up the time he needs to overcome the corner cutting penalty that Voltage has. But again, some of the moves that Voltage was making earlier might be investigated after the race, I would suspect. So we'll have to wait and see.
As I said about him, they were quite robust to say the least, and I think robust moves at Monaco were not ideal because you can make a lot of enemies rather than friends doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Womack has moved over for Armor Red. Airways joining the time penalty club. I would have thought that was at the swimming pool.
Now we'll see what Womack does with Bergen up the rear of the Alpine.
Yeah, he seems to have decided that the pit straight is the place to move over. So I don't think he'll do it here with Bergen in the tunnel down to the chicane, unless Bergen can get close enough and go for a move. No.
Smoke screen in front from the Alpine as Bergen near enough loses the car on traction, but Womack sensibly not fighting it, lets the McLaren through.
And Bergen might have just clipped the wall on the way into Raskas.
May have been a small nick, that, if anything, because there's no damage on the McLaren. But Womack has got a 21-second gap to Airways behind, so he's got a bit of breathing space just to work on those tyres and keep stretching them out. As the only battle on track we've got now is Night Shadow and Armar, the Sauber and the Aston Martin, but the McLaren of Bergen gradually reeling the two cars in ahead.
So we are coming into the closing stages of the race here. Lap 34 out of 39 has just started. Voltage in the lead, quite comfortably at the moment. 7.7 seconds to Chris. Chris will have to pit again towards the end of the race as a reserve, so that's going to promote Bobo up to second and Night Shadow up to third and a podium spot. And after that, it'll most likely be Stu, Simba and David, with the rest of the positions being occupied by reserve drivers.
Yeah, and as we've been watching battles further down the order, Bobo's been creeping up ever so slightly towards Chris Bailey, but as we say, Bobo doesn't probably have to think about making a move, because Chris will have to make a pit stop on the second to last lap. But the three-way scrap, Night Shadow, Armour and now Bergen,
Yep. I'm just having a look.
has almost lost it out on acceleration out the final corner and lost his front wing in the process. So that'll be a trip to the pits at the end of this lap.
Yeah, but because he's done it on the pit straight, he's got to do an entire lap to get back round to the pit entry, which will be painful for him. I just looked away when that happened because I was having a look at the general chat in the Discord, and there are some comments that have been made with regards to driving standards in this race. I won't say any more. But
no, I think the admins is. I think Gav has let Bergen through, not willing to risk anything with Bergen. And Bergen gives a little wiggle in the process.
Oh, Chris Bailey's
retired.
Yeah.
He's dropped it out of Anthony Norris.
Yeah, he just ran wide on the exit, clattered into the wall right in front of Bobo, but fortunately he ghosted. So that has put Bobo into P2, and Chris is out of the race, but there is no safety car, of course, because we've reached the limit on that. So everyone
and I think
carries
it's
on.
a bit too close to the end for one, because we're on like 36 or 39. To be honest, it could have been one, but like you say, we've reached the limit as Armar's pitting for a new nose. 11 seconds the gap between Bobo and Voltage. And no one within DRS at this point in time.
No, the only one close is Lorpy on Stu, but that gap just over a second. You have to say, oh, Bobo into the pits. Is that for damage or just for some softs to set the fastest lap?
Yeah, it's just for soft tyres. I think he'll be going for the fastest lap. He's got a big enough gap to. Actually, he could end up losing the position to Night Shadow here.
He has. Well, he's right behind him, and he's going to be much quicker. But that's going to make it very difficult for him to set a fastest lap if he's stuck behind the Kick Sauber for too long.
Yeah, he's really getting really close to Night Shadow on the run down to the Grand Hotel hairpin. Had a little look on the outside. Gav ghosted a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he ghosted there. But now, I thought Bobo was a bit closer. He is close. He's looking down the inside.
Oh, he's just clipped the wall with the rear of the car.
Oh, he held on to it though. And I tell you what, that is so easily done, by the way.
Yeah. The problem is the camera I had when I was seeing that, you couldn't really see where Night Shadow was on the right hand side as
Yeah.
Bobo was making his way through. But Bobo will be foot to the floor now to try and take the fastest lap.
Yep, and he'll be using his battery as well.
He'll be dumping it on this lap.
Yep. Trying to get as much time as possible out of the admittedly very short straights. But it still makes a difference.
Lorpy getting his mandatory stop out of the way.
Yep, and Womack's still on those hard tyres. If he doesn't pit at the end of this lap, he's going to get disqualified by the game.
Yeah, I think as well, because Voltage has started the last lap, so Womack is still on lap 38. So
Voltage has retired
at Casino. He's binned it on the exit at Casino.
Wowee! On the final lap of the race as well, and that has handed victory to Bobo after everything. Yeah, on an absolute silver plate. After everything that Voltage went through in the race, coming all the way from P15, I think he started, and some of the controversy with the overtaking, building up a gap after getting to the front, and now crashing out of the race on the final lap. Well, unbelievable.
As Womack has finally pitted as well on the on lap 89, so he has took those hard tyres a gargantuan length of laps. But with that crash as well, that actually promotes Stu to the podium. So it's going to be, after the higher tier drivers are sorted, a Sauber 1-2 with Bobo coming around the final corner now.
Yep.
To take the win.
Yep, the checkered flag falls for Bobo, and at the end of all that, he still comes out on top with the victory. Night Shadow taking second place, and as you said, Bergen is going to cross the line in third. Womack is currently in fourth, but it will be Stube who is on the podium when those drivers are taken out of the results. So a dramatic race for Stube as well, but he will come back to a podium finish. And then Simba is going to pick up fourth place for Ferrari, and then I think that David is the other one who will score points in fifth place, because the rest are reserve drivers. But what a dramatic ending to the race.
Lorpy decides to pit on the last lap, and I think he's done that to probably allow David the position, but I think Lorpy's going to go across the line before David gets there.
Well, David's a lap down also, so he won't pick up a position either way, but he will be the last man across the finish line. There's two cars there parked up just after the finish line, which is bizarre.
Actually, because I think, was it the last lap Voltage crashed on, so he'll be classified technically, but a lap down, so I think he'll finish ahead of
oh, that is a good point.
David.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, he'll be classified a lap down, so with it being a lap last crash, that's a celebration and a half from Bobo. Bit of parkour onto the podium.
I've never seen that one before in the game.
No, I haven't.
And I don't know you'd see a real F1 driver doing it after an hour and a half of racing around Monaco, but never mind.
Mind you, we did have the famous Michael Schumacher leap for many years.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a flip.
No,
that
it
was
wasn't.
just a leap.
Yeah. So we'll just go through the results quickly. Obviously, this is pending stewarding and with reserves moved down the order as well. But Bobo was the victor from Night Shadow, Bergen, Wumax P3 and 4, Stube in 5th, Simba in 6th, Armour Red in 7th, Laupi in 8th, Voltage in 9th, despite crashing on the final lap. Then it's Airways and David. And then in the DNFs column, we have got a load of drivers who I'm not going to get to because time is running out. Driver of the day?
Ooh. It's difficult, but one of the shouts has to be Bobo because he kept his nose clean and won the race. But at one point it looked like he wasn't going to, and it was going to be Voltage, but small lapse in concentration must have caused Voltage to crash at Casino. Gav had a quiet race on his return to P2, so that probably could be a shout as well.
Yeah, I think I would go with that. I think I would say Gav, Night Shadow. On his return, getting on the podium and generally keeping himself out of trouble. So, yeah, well done to him. And our vote for driver of the day. So that's it for Monaco in Tier 3. Thank you ever so much for joining us tonight. Please feel free to leave a like on the stream if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more F124 league racing with MRC. We have got the extreme tier next at 8:45 start time for those guys. The no assists tier in MRC. They will also be taken to the streets of Monaco. But for now, thank you very much for watching from me and from BITW as well. Thank you for joining me in the booth tonight.
Pleasure.
Yep. And yep, thanks again, everyone. And we will see you very soon. Take care.